All right, y'all, welcome back. Today, I'm going to start talking about kind of some live sound setup and stuff. Like I said, I've been working with Zeal Church on their audio stuff, and we last year we had upgraded to a Yamaha DM7, so I'm going to be doing this series kind of on the DM7, but this kind of can apply to whatever board you're using. A lot of the boards nowadays have, like, the Avantis has an offline editor, X32 has an offline editor, and I really like kind of getting the bulk of my setup done on the editors because I can do it on my computer and just get so much done. It's just easier that way because, like, those touch screens are great, but it's a lot navigating through the menus and stuff. I want to have a keyboard and a mouse. I can just, like, move super quick, and it allows me to be super prepared. When we first were getting the DM7, we were kind of debating between the Avantis and the DM7, and somebody set both of them up for us, so I was able to go in and just do like a virtual sound check through both. But I didn't want to spend a couple hours getting a mix together. I wanted to be able to go in there and just, like, pull up a session and be able to put some sound through and kind of navigate and just kind of see how it sounds and feels when I'm working on the board. But that's kind of like a lot of my cheat code is just cheating. I don't want to be fiddling around and fumbling through stuff, especially with people over my shoulder when I'm trying to get a job or impress a client or anything else like that. I want all of my preparation done on the front side. So I'm going to be talking about, like, this first video, just setting up the DM7 on this offline editor, and this way I can just, like, go in, I can save it as a scene, I can go in and just load it up, and at least all my routing's done and labeling and everything else like that. And it seems like I'm moving super fast, but really I just put all of the work on the front end. So check out the screen here. I've got, like, a typical, like, input list here that I made, and we're just going to go through and input all of these tracks and kind of start setting up this board. So this is starting from a blank slate here. So I'm just going to kind of put this over here. I'm going to make this smaller, kind of. We'll just kind of do this. That'll work. And then I can go through and title this. So what I want is on the top of this DM7, there's so many ways to do this. I can hit this in, and here's my in channels. These would be my output channels, DCAs, and you can make custom things. Also up here, if I just put this on input, then I can navigate through all of my inputs just on this top screen. So since we're doing inputs, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to click this, and now I can start typing. So this is going to be, I have my kick in already. This is going to be my kick out for channel 2. Can press tab, snare top. On this kind of stuff, I do like, I'm trying to shorten the name of it to the shortest possible name, because there's not a lot of room on the script there where you're going to be reading these. OVRs. I don't have to title it left or right, because when I link them, they're just going to say OVR. This is my SPD, bass DI. This is going to be my click. What do I call this? Bass TRX. Perk TRX. Left. Perk TRX. Right. Keys. Keys. So typically now on this board, you can link any channels that are next to each other and make them a stereo channel. And I'm kind of stuck in my own old ways. So typically always left is an odd number, right is an even number. So if I'm linking something, I don't want to link 6, 7. I want to link 7, 8. Because I always, just even when I'm, like, patching things in, I just know that left is going to be an odd number, right is going to be the corresponding number. So just works easier that way. Keys tracks, where are we at? BGV tracks. And these are, as you can see on my input list over here, they are stereo tracks. This is keys 1, keys 1. And I also don't have to title it left, right, because I know with the standard of my odd is my left, my even is my right. There's no need. Electric 1, electric 1, electric 2, MD, drum, talkback, room 1, room 1. I'm going to skip those other rooms. So here at 31, we're going to go mic 1, mic 2, mic 3, mic 4, mic 5, mic 6, mic 7, 8, host 2, front of house, talkback, production, talkback. Let's go iPad, video. Let's go acoustic. Now, here's a question. Why wouldn't I put my acoustic next to the guitars? It just has to do with my even odd. So I'm just putting it down here. Now I'm going to make a custom layer that it's going to sit next to my guitars. It's really not a big deal. It would make more sense to be up there, but I'm just doing that so I can keep my my stereo sets the way they are. So now we're on 47, but I'm gonna go. This is mic 1 IEM. Now in this case here, what I'm doing here, why is this called IEM? I'm gonna be running my our ears off of this board as well. We don't have a separate console or anything, so I'm just going to be running it off there. There's plenty of inputs on it, plenty of IO for what we need to do that. So I do this because in the live setting I am using waves for like tuning or compression or whatever, and what that can do is create latency. And when you have latency in your ears, it's really hard for a singer to sing and it sound delayed in their ear. So I don't want that to happen. So I'm creating just one that I can EQ and compress purely for their monitoring. So this way I can do different things. I don't have to worry about feedback or anything else like that. I can just make it sound like a record in their ears, and there's not going to be any latency that way. So I have to create another channel for that, and then I'll route that to their ears, and then the one that's going to front of house is definitely not going to go to their ears. So that's what I'm doing there. That's my thinking there. Mic 2 IEM. All right, so I'm going to press enter. Now I'm going to go all the way to over here. And I'm doing that because I'm going to put my effects returns all the way at the end. So I just know that they're all the way down here. This is IEM verb. So this is like a reverb I can make just for their ears. And they can turn it up however much they want, because in my case, I am using reverb in that waves setup. So I don't want them to have any latency there, so that's what I'm doing there. This is going to be my drum verb here. And don't worry, I will talk about how to route all of this as well. We will get there. 103, 104, this is going to be my delay. This is going to be my slap. This is going to be my plate, reverb, plate, and this is going to be, I call it verb 1. This would be like a long reverb, like a hall or something. I like to blend a lot of different sounds, so it's like, okay, I have a slap, which is a delay, and a longer delay, which would, you know, be more repeats. My slap is just like to give me a sense of space, and delays would be to give me like more length. Plate is, again, I like to blend that with a long reverb. So a long reverb that stretches and gives me length, and the plate is like more about giving me vibe. And so I kind of blend those, and this way in different scenarios, like longer ballads or something, I can let the verb kind of bloom and turn this one up, and this is just kind of a general vibe shaping there. And then we're good on naming. So then I'm going to go back to channel 1, and we're going to go through, and colors are super important to me, so I'm going to color everything. I like my drums to be purple. Let's get two things done at once. So that's a kick. This is a kick and purple. Snare. This is just like my Pro Tools, like color coding. I just know what I'm looking for. My eyes just naturally find it. when the colors are always the same. So I'll just come through here like this. This is an SPD. Sure, we'll call it perk. Bass DI. Bass is always red. I'll call this electric bass. Click white. So now I like white in these scenarios that this stuff, anything that's white, is not going through the house. So I just know that this cannot be going through my main bus because I do not want it in the house. So I just know that white is going to be that way. This is bass, but it's tracks. So I'm just gonna like all of my tracks are going to be this color, this cyan, cayenne, pepper. I don't know what you want to call it, but yeah, I'm just going to make them all that color, including my bass, my keys tracks included. And this, we're using a playback rig on stage, and I have them separated out, each track separated out. So keys tracks would be like all pads, keys, and guitars, honestly, but I just call it keys tracks. And then, you know, my background vocals coming out of Ableton are coming down this, and percussion and drums and drops and stuff like that. So my keys are always orange, and this is a keyboard, and this is just so much faster than doing it on the actual board itself. Just having to type with a single finger, just I feel like is aggravating how long it takes. So I just do it this way because I'm faster at it now. Remember, this is not going to the house, so that's why we're calling it that. And I'm just going to say dynamic, sure, dynamic white. Rooms are also white because cannot go in the house. Let's call it audience. Yay, all these happy people. My mics are always yellow. And this, call this wireless yellow. This is a headset mic. This is our pastor mic here. And this, I'll explain my host 2. I only have 8 mics. Pastor is mic 8, host is mic 7, and the singers are 1 through 6. And so why do I have a host 2 here? This situation is good for if I have 2 hosts up and they're going to use one of the vocalist's mic. One of the singer's mics. So this way I can just put the input on this, but the treatment is not like what I have on the singing. It's not going to be going through my reverbs. It's not going to be as heavily compressed. It's just a different treatment, and this way I can utilize that for that. This is my front of house talkback, my producer talkback, again, not going into the house. So all those dynamic mics. And then iPad, this would be for, you know, house music. So I can set this as like PC, sure. Video, same thing, is, this is like stuff coming from PVP for us, Pro Presenter. Or anytime we're just like playing video content, that's what that'd be. So, and then these IEMs, I'm going to make them white because I don't want them in the house. It's just no matter what, these cannot go in the house. So white, cool. And we're good. All right, now we gotta go through and make how do I make these stereo, right? I could just pan these, but then when I move this fader, it doesn't move the other fader. So how do I make that happen? What I'm going to do here is, let me see. It is right here, this heart. And it's going to ask me, do I want to link it to channel 6 or channel 8? Obviously, I want to do it at channel 8. I'm going to say make pair. Now check this out. Now, when I go up, when I mute, it does it all together. And I love that. That's exactly what I want. So here we go. These perk tracks, we're going to gang those, make pair, and then make pair. It's so easy. I love this board. It just makes sense to my brain. It's so smooth. It's so easy. So I love that. I love easy. I love fast. Make pair. Lots of stereo tracks here. Make pair. Good. We'll make this a pair. Now, why do I have room mics if I'm not sending them to my house? This is set up so that I can send this to our broadcast room, which is a different mix, and they can have room mics. And that is essential when it comes to having a good broadcast mix. You have to. It just helps make it feel live and not, because all of these individual mics without the room acoustics, it's going to sound like super close and close mic'd, and that can feel inauthentic when you're in a live setting. So you pepper in the room to help it feel like you're there, like it's live. So that's what these are for. And the more room mics I can get, the better. Phasing is a whole thing. We can talk about that if you want sometime, but that's what these room mics are for. We want to make sure that these are going to my stereo out. So this is how you know they're going to a stereo out here. I don't think I need that anymore, so I'm going to go like this. So this right here, stereo A, stereo B. They have two stereo channels. I'm just going to use stereo A for the sake of this video here. And I'm going to make sure that tells me that it's going to stereo A. Now, this is going to be my mains. There's a million different ways to mix live sound. I'm just going to talk about my process. Please find whatever process works for you. I don't do aux-fed subs. Because I'm a studio engineer, so I'm just so used to having a mix bus. And if I want more low end, I turn up more low end. Not on a fader. I just EQ more low end. So I like being able to shape my my mix bus, and that being able to be what it needs to be. And then I'll send, I have subs, so I will send it out on a matrix. I'll explain all of that. But right now I'm going to send everything that is going out to this stereo A. Now, if I disconnect this, it's not going anywhere. It's not outputting anywhere. So I'm going to output to stereo A. All of these default to that, so I don't have to do anything. But what I can do is I can go through here, all of my white tracks. Remember, I don't want those in the house, so I'm going to take those out of the house. So now I know, even if I turn this fader up, it's not going to come out of my front of house speakers. So find all my white tracks and turn it off. I'm just foolproofing it for myself. This way I don't mess up, because I mess up a lot and I don't want to have to make the same mistake multiple times. So there we go. And then let's say front of house talkback, get out of there. Same thing with this guy, get out of there. And all of my IEMs, obviously, I don't want going to my stereo bus. And even if this is all I was doing, and I was sending this to, or all I was setting up, even saving this, I feel like I've just saved myself at least an hour of work if I were just doing this on the board. So I've taken everything out of the house that I want out of the house. Now, the other thing that I like to do is I like to kind of get a general mix. Now, I'm not sending any sound through this, so I have no idea what it sounds like. But I do know that there are typical patterns when you're mixing. Like, I know that I'm going to be low cutting things, so I can just get some low cut stuff going on here, and just kind of get it to where when I turn it on, I'm already kind of there, So I will get this stuff going and kind of just build myself a typical mix. So I'm going to be, I'll low cut this stuff. Maybe this one I'm going to change to a 6 dB slope. I'm going to bring this probably a lot higher because it's my snare bottom mic. This is going to be high pass. I like 40. And then I'll use my low shelf if I want more low end. But I just like a nice roll off on stuff that is going to be hitting my subs, So this I can even roll up a little higher maybe. This 6 dB, what that does on a low cut is it means, if you notice, this line isn't as steep. So even though this is rolled up here, let's say, let's go crazy. Let's say it's at 47. This roll off, I still have 50 hertz here. It's just slowly rolling this stuff off. It doesn't mean that it's completely gone. It doesn't mean that everything under 487 is completely gone. Now, if I make this a 24 dB slope, look at that. Now, all of this stuff is gone, is a lot more rolled off. So when I want to be subtle, I use a 6 dB slope, and it's just a slight, it's like, it's just kind of go to sleep, It makes it a lot easier. of a transition roll off. So this way I'm not cutting it off. And the other thing about 6dB filters is there's a lot less phase shift, and that's like super nerdy talk, but it does help me not mess with my phasing when I'm using that. And because I have these linked, you see how these EQ moves are happening on both channels without having to do anything, you know? So that's great. I love that. This is going to be 40. Now, again, same thing. A lot of people are going to ask me why, you know, I want 20 hertz in my sub. Why would I be rolling off at 40? I promise you 20 hertz is still happening. I'm just trying to shape my low end because I don't want it to be out of control, and I'll use a shelf if I need more or less, but I want shape to it. I don't want just like a wide open thing going on. So that's what I'm doing there, and like it or hate it. So kind of get these going. These have sub drops in them, you know, a lot of times. So I'll still leave these. I might drop this one down because like sub drops, I really want to be crazy. This same thing. There's some low end that happens here. This can kind of change, but let's just say around there. These, you know, this I can roll higher. I know I don't want any of that stuff in here. So I might go like 160, and I might even go 24. You know, sure, why not? This guy here, maybe around in there. Sometimes they give me synth stuff, so I'll be there. This I can definitely, you know, roll up a little bit. Roll up a little bit, sure. My MD mic, I'll cut all this stuff out because it just helps with some legibility here. I can also cut the mud out of his voice here. This cue, I'll widen it up because I know that there's just like a lot going on here. So I'll kind of cut some of this stuff out, maybe add some of this radio frequency area right here. So it just makes them cut through a little bit more. Sure, great starting point. Let's see here. The other cool thing is, I think if I do this, yeah, check this out. Then I can copy it, and I can come over here, and on my drum talkback, it's kind of the same thing. So I'm just going to paste it. So that's great. I don't need to do anything on these rooms because any of the EQ moves I'm doing are not going to be going to my broadcast room anyways, and I don't want them to. So they have full control on mixing, and that's just a completely different setup, which we've gone over a bunch on this channel. So if you want to know how to set up your broadcast mix, just watch those videos. A lot of the EQ and stuff that's happening on these mics is happening in waves, so I'll skip that. But we can talk about our IEMs, front of house talkback. You know, I can paste that here too. On this board, you actually don't even need to waste a channel on your board for this, but I do this so I can route this channel to like our black box, and then they can also hear me. So like if I want to talk to our producer or something that's like behind me in a different room, I can talk to him if it's here. But as far as your talkback and using your switch to talk to your band and everything else like that, you don't have to route this to their ears. There's a place in there that I can show you. Let's just do that now here. Let's go. I want to say it's this guy here. Yeah, input to talkback. So let's go here because it's not, remember, this channel doesn't really matter. It's mostly about where I plug the mic in. And on here, on my Omni ends, I have front of house talkback on 9. So I'm going to put this on input Omni, means I don't know why they call it Omni. I'm going to call it on the board. It's on the board. So input 9, boom. And then your gain is right here. I can gain it up, whatever. That's great. And then this is what is talking to everybody. And yeah. So that's how you'd set up your front of house talkback on the DM7. This production talkback. So that is the producer upstairs talking to me. And this is, again, plugged in on our board. They just have we have like clear comms, and I just run an input down. And this way, not only can they talk, I can route it to the band's ears. I also have a squawk box sitting at front of house, so I can hear the MD talking and this producer talking if they need anything or something's going on or whatever. This way that communication can still happen, doesn't have to be on texting or anything else like that, and that's awesome. Now I think we'll probably call it after I talk about this here, and I'm going to continue this series, but as far as today, we'll just kind of call it. I think you get the idea on what I'm doing here. On these IEMs, now there's a lot of things that we can do. I'm going to roll this stuff up and gut them more than I would in the front of house. And the reason why is what happens is on in-ear monitors, those are in your ears, right? If you talk and plug your ears, if you notice how like muffled everything gets, that's what it's like. And when you're singing, it's really like the vibrations in your head is like affecting the sound of what's coming through your ears. So I don't need a lot of this low end because you're getting it with those earplugs being in your ears. So this would be pretty gutted. And what you can do is just put the in-ears on yourself and sit there and talk in the mic and just cut this until it starts to sound natural again. And you'll notice that it's a pretty, pretty gnarly cut here. And then, I'll boost again somewhere around 2K and then give me a nice big bright shelf here. And these things will be adjusted, but if you just put that thing in your ear and talk until it kind of starts to sound natural, that's a really great place. And so I would apply this. What I can do is copy it, and now I just move over here to all these and paste it. And then from there, remember, again, I'm just getting myself like generally in the right place, and then they can give me whatever feedback they want. Like, hey, my voice sounds a little thin. Then I can take my cuts and reduce my cuts a little bit. So, and give them whatever they need for what they like to hear in their ears. But that's what I like to do there. Now, as far as how do I save this, right? So we've got a lot done here. This is just kind of setting up the board, making sure everything's going where we want it to go. And we'll talk about like routing and outputting on the next episode. But here I'm going to go to my scene list. That's this guy up here. And I'm going to store it. So I'm going to press store, and I'm going to go call it JTAL1. Now, I don't know if I've talked about this in previous videos, but I will say what I like to do when I'm saving things is I put a number after it. So it'll be like JTAL1. So anytime I update it and store it again, I'm just going to do the next numerical value, JTAL2, JTAL3. It seems obvious, but it just helps me stay organized. And if I ever change something and need to get back, all I have to do is go back to the previous number. Now there's an update setting on this where I can just press update if there's not any big changes. So really on this, I just update my current scene. But if I change routing, or if I change something or add something, or we're doing something for Easter or whatever, I will save like store as a new numerical number. And this way, I just always know what my most recent one is. It's really easy system to keep track of. So it just helps me with my organization that way. So we're starting at JTAL1. So I'm going to press store, and it's going to say store as scene 1. And I'm like, yes. And we'll kind of, as we go along, I'll go through and talk about all these things on the board. Right now we're just trying to kind of get you up and running. So this way, now let's say I do a couple different things. Let's say, I don't know, whatever, get some sort of mix dialed in. I can just press this update right here. I highlight the scene I'm on, press update, and it says update 1. Okay, boom, and it's updated. So we're saved. You can see it here. So when we go back to this home, and I can press home, and now this is everything. I can press home again, and this is multiple channels. And that's great. You'll see my scene name up here. So really easy to keep track of where you're at. This bottom line, you'll see like what the next scene in line is. And there's like some cool things you can do with that that I'll get into. But yeah, this is a great starting place, and I could save this on a thumb drive and then plug it into my actual DM7 and load this exact scene, and then I'm like off and running already. I know things are going to work, especially when you're your routing done. Like I'm going to get a general mix on all of our in-ears as well. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I love this offline editor. Like I said, you can find these offline editors for whatever board you're using, and the same trick will work. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll talk more. Thanks.